Amid the vast ocean, the most remote islands in the world hide in absolute silence. These places, untouched and undisturbed, retain their pristine beauty like undiscovered gems. Today's journey will take you to these forgotten islands, where isolation creates an unparalleled sense of peace. Here, every step on the white sand and every breeze through the trees tells a story of untouched, pure nature. This is not just a destination, it is a sacred space where you can find true serenity. And when the journey ends, these islands may fade from memory, but the feeling of peace and stillness they bring will stay in your soul forever. Skellig Islands is a remote island group off the western coast of Ireland, far from regular sea routes. It features steep rock formations, eroded into nearly vertical cliffs, rising from the sea. The main island, Skellig Michael, houses an early stone monastery built by monks in the 6th century using dry stone techniques without mortar. In addition to ancient structures, the island serves as a natural breeding site for seabirds such as puffins and redshanks. Notably, many aspects of how the monastery was constructed at such height remain unexplained, intriguing archaeologists. Skellig Islands holds historical value and is one of the rare natural sites recognized by UNESCO for its religious, ecological, and isolated features. Fernando de Noronha is located about 220 miles from the mainland and is known for its strictly protected marine ecosystem and volcanic landscape. The island has many untouched beaches steep cliffs, and tropical forests growing on ancient basalt rock. The surrounding ocean is rich in wildlife, especially spinner dolphins, sea turtles, rays, reef sharks, and tropical fish living in coral reefs and clear waters. Thanks to daily visitor limits, the marine environment remains very clean and naturally balanced. Local people mainly work in ecotourism and traditional fishing, and they take part in conservation programs. Visitors often go diving, snorkeling, hiking across volcanic terrain, or observing wildlife in designated areas. In the middle of a vast ocean untouched by urban sprawl, Pitcairn Islands remain preserved in a natural state rarely seen today. The main island has only a few dozen residents, with no airport, no hotels, and no large-scale commercial activity throughout the year. Its landscape features steep rocky hills, dense forest cover, and narrow shorelines constantly shaped by heavy waves. The surrounding sea remains naturally clear, supporting strong coral systems, tropical fish, and marine species unaffected by commercial fishing. Island life depends entirely on supply ships that arrive occasionally, and reaching the island requires a long voyage across the ocean. This complete isolation has preserved Pitcairn's environment and made it a valuable site for studying the long-term impact of human presence on small island ecosystems. Saint-Pierre and Miquelon is a rare French territory near North America, where cold and warm ocean currents meet and create unpredictable coastal weather. The islands feature granite formations layered with soft sediment, dotted with small bays, closed lagoons, and lowlands prone to flooding during high tides. Some coastal zones have recorded persistent fog lasting for days, unaffected by changes in wind or temperature, complicating maritime access. Exposed rock layers along the shore contain marine fossils, some of which remain unclassified in official paleontological records. The nearshore ecosystem supports both coldwater fish and migratory seals, while the land is dominated by lichens, grasses, and shrubs adapted to high winds. With unstable weather, mixed geological features, and unusual atmospheric phenomena, Saint-Pierre and Miquelon serve as a key site for coastal and environmental evolution research in cold marine zones. Located in the Indian Ocean, Socotra is a territory of Yemen and is known for having one of the most distinctive natural environments on the planet. Strange-looking trees, like the dragonblood tree, grow densely alongside hundreds of plant species found only on this island. The limestone terrain, dry climate, and strong winds have shaped an ecosystem with high adaptability. Local people have lived here for generations, continuing traditional ways of life untouched by urban development. Authorities and international conservation groups work together to regulate tourist numbers and protect the island's untouched nature. Each trip to Socotra is a journey into a world almost entirely separate from the rest of the Earth. Flores Island is one of the westernmost islands of the Azores, isolated in the Atlantic Ocean and often exposed to strong oceanic winds. Its terrain is volcanic, with large crater lakes, high waterfalls, mountain ponds, and jagged basalt formations. Although it has residents, most of the island remains nearly untouched, avoiding urban development and preserving native vegetation. The island's ecosystem features many endemic plant species that grow only in humid, mountainous environments. Several deep lakes within ancient craters remain poorly studied, and there have been reports of unexplained water level fluctuations. Due to its isolation and unique natural conditions, Flores Island is recognized as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and remains little known in Europe. Lord Howe Island lies in the Tasman Sea, over 373 miles from mainland Australia, and was formed from the remnants of an inactive volcano. Its landscape includes fringing coral reefs, twin peaks near the coast, and vertical cliffs that divide ecological zones by height. The island supports endemic species such as the Kentia palm, prehistoric ferns, and the Lord Howe flightless bird, all thriving without invasive predators. A tightly managed population and restricted tourism help maintain the island's natural conditions. A steep rock crevice was found to shelter large stick insects, a species previously believed to have gone extinct for decades. Christmas Island is not a coral island, but the exposed peak of an extinct ocean volcano, later capped by limestone, formed from ancient coral deposits. Its terrain is complex, with limestone plateaus, dense rainforest, and steep coastal cliffs, leading down to natural sinkholes and underground caves. Located over 930 miles from the mainland and under strict ecological control, the island remains wild, best known for the mass migration of millions of red crabs during the rainy season. A strange phenomenon involves seabird flocks disappearing entirely for weeks, then returning suddenly with no traceable movement through satellite or tracking devices. What makes the island truly unique is the combination of volcanic base, fossil coral layers, and tropical forest in one compact space, supporting hundreds of endemic species found nowhere else. Tonga is an island nation in the South Pacific with over 170 islands, many of which remain uninhabited and undeveloped for tourism. Some areas feature uplifted coral terrain formed by tectonic activity, with tall white cliffs and uneven, bone-like surfaces. Although there are no major rivers, many islands contain underground water caves connected to the sea that have not been fully explored. Researchers have reported unexplained freshwater emergence and shifting water flows at unmarked points on some islands. While parts of the country have scattered settlements, most of its area retains a pristine marine ecosystem with large fish populations, live coral reefs, and seasonal humpback whales. Geographical isolation, combined with active tectonic features and unexplored geology, makes Tonga a rare destination for scientific and oceanic exploration. Zanzibar is notable as the only known place in East Africa where bioluminescent seas have been recorded, caused by high concentrations of glowing plankton near the shore during certain times of the year. Beyond the coastal settlements, much of the island remains covered in mangrove forests, brackish lagoons, and untouched grasslands. Some surrounding coral reefs form closed arcs, creating natural lagoons with calm water and isolated ecosystems. Coastal limestone formations contain deep crevices and caves, some of which hold freshwater layers and host unclassified dark-dwelling species. Zanzibar's stable climate supports migratory stopovers for certain seabirds and juvenile sharks, which follow a predictable seasonal pattern. The convergence of reef ecosystems, underground freshwater habitats, bioluminescent events, and ring-shaped coral structures makes Zanzibar a unique field site in the Indian Ocean. Mauritius was once the only home of the dodo, and its extinction has become a global symbol of how fragile, isolated ecosystems can be. The island is volcanic in origin, but its central terrain features high plateaus and deep rainforests, rather than exposed craters. Offshore areas display a rare underwater waterfall optical illusion caused by sand flows over submerged slopes that appear from above as falling water. Surrounding waters host slow-growing hard corals, an endemic marine species that remain insufficiently studied. Some interior forests still contain trees whose fruit was once consumed by dodos, showing a unique connection between extinct fauna and surviving flora. Mauritius combines ancient geology, unique biology, and natural optical phenomena, making it ideal for interdisciplinary research in evolution, ecology, and marine geography. Réunion is home to one of the world's most active volcanoes, Piton de la Fournaise, yet maintains untouched ecosystems just a few kilometers from active lava flows. The island lies isolated in the Indian Ocean, its terrain carved by deep valleys, collapsed craters, and basalt plateaus, forming networks of underground rivers and steep waterfalls. Some forest zones maintain constant fog cover year-round, supporting dense layers of mosses, lichens, and low canopy plants rarely found in tropical regions. The marine ecosystem near shore drops off quickly into deeper waters, allowing coastal species to coexist with deep-sea organisms within a few meters. The continuous volcanic activity, sharply divided terrain, and layered ecosystems make Réunion a key site for biological and geological research in tropical environments. Lofoten is known for its steep mountains rising directly from the sea, forming vertical island walls just meters from shore, a rare feature in Arctic archipelagos. The main islands are connected by coastal roads that trace cliff edges, surrounded by cold, nutrient-rich waters that attract seasonal cod migrations. Below the surface, submerged rock shelves and deep basins support ecosystems of cold water coral and bottom-dwelling species that thrive in low light. Some narrow fjords have recorded still sea phenomena where strong winds occur, but nearshore water remains strangely calm, prompting debate about reverse layer currents. On land, the vegetation consists mainly of hardy lichens and cold-tolerant shrubs, growing slowly but evenly from mountain slopes to coastal wetlands. The collision of abrupt sea-mountain topography, cold, deep biological systems, and unexplained oceanic behaviors makes Lofoten a rare Arctic research destination. Tasmania separated from the mainland when sea levels rose after the Ice Age, leaving an ancient landmass with granite and sandstone that has eroded over time. Its landscape includes coastal plains, a central mountain chain, natural lakes, old glacial valleys, and temperate forests. The island's isolation and mild climate have helped preserve native marsupials and ancient plant species in undisturbed natural cycles. A rare event involves clusters of forest emitting faint light at night, caused by glowing fungi living on decaying wood. But the brightness levels change unpredictably. Tasmania contains a relict ecosystem with species that once lived across mainland Australia and now survive only here in small numbers. Naxos has a folded terrain, with small plains between rocky hills and a shoreline that shifts between long sandy stretches and jagged stone outcrops. Further inland, grapevines and olive trees are planted on low terraces that lead to villages built from unpainted white stone, left to age under the sun. The sea around the island has gentle currents and cool, clear water, where bottom-feeding fish, sea urchins, octopus, and steady patches of seagrass can be found. Residents grow crops, make cheese, spin thread, and bake bread in wood-fired ovens, with daily tasks taking place in shared courtyards. The main sounds across the island are wind on rooftops, spoons on pottery, and boats tapping gently against the shore during high tide. Visitors to Naxos follow no fixed route. They begin the day where there is shade and end it when there is nothing left that needs doing. Gozo is the second largest island in the Maltese archipelago, located in the Mediterranean Sea, with a landscape of limestone formations, quiet villages, and a calm, rural atmosphere. Residents have lived in close-knit communities for generations, working in farming, fishing, and traditional crafts. The Gantia temple complex dates back over 5,500 years and remains one of the oldest surviving structures recognized by UNESCO. The island's natural features include high cliffs, narrow bays, and sea caves that form a biologically rich and archaeologically important environment. Religious processions, village feasts, and folk music continue to hold a central role in daily life. Each visit to Gozo reveals a distinct world, where time moves slowly and tradition remains deeply rooted in the rhythm of the island. The Canary Islands are the only place in Europe where active volcanoes and sand deserts coexist, creating a rare intersection of arid climate and young volcanic terrain. The archipelago is formed from basalt and marine sediment, cut by deep ravines, steep slopes, and dry lava basins that create clearly stratified landforms. Some valleys near the coast have experienced daytime dry fog, caused by moisture absorption into hot rock surfaces, resulting in sudden, localized air dryness. The terrestrial ecosystem includes lava lizards, Galotia, and endemic cacti that thrive in saline, arid soil scattered across the black rocky landscape. Nearshore waters are clear, yet nutrient-rich due to cold Atlantic upwelling, supporting layered marine life zones within close proximity to shore. With young volcanic geology, extreme biological conditions, and rare atmospheric effects, the Canary Islands serve as a key research site for coastal climate, geomorphology, and evolutionary biology. St. Lucia is known for its near-symmetrical twin volcanic peaks called the Pitons, a UNESCO-recognized landmark formed by solidified lava pushed vertically through the surface. The island's terrain is deeply dissected by ravines and steep slopes, with thin but mineral-rich surface layers formed from stratified volcanic ash. Some hot springs and sulfur lakes exhibit prolonged gas emissions without elevated temperatures, indicating stable but restrained geothermal activity. The island's western shores combine coral reefs, ancient limestone, and volcanic sands, creating biologically rich transitional zones in compact areas. With its unique volcanic forms, consistent gas emissions, and slope-based ecological zoning, St. Lucia is ideal for interdisciplinary studies in geology and mountain marine ecology. The Faroe Islands are known for their towering sea cliffs, where seabirds nest in layered formations across dozens of vertical meters, a rare vertical ecosystem in the North Atlantic. The 18 main islands were formed by stacked ancient lava flows, eroded laterally to create horizontal rock layers and narrow valleys in between. Some offshore waters display standing current phenomena, where strong tides occur, but the water surface remains oddly still for extended periods. Deep ravines host native dwarf forests and thick lichen carpets that thrive in low light and constant humidity. Situated at the junction of cold and warm ocean currents, the surrounding sea supports migratory species like whales and seabirds traveling thousands of kilometers. With its layered landforms, unstable marine behavior, and vertical ecological structures, the Faroe Islands offer a unique Arctic subarctic research environment. Kauai is the oldest island in the Hawaiian chain, formed about 5 million years ago by volcanic eruptions and later deeply eroded into canyons, waterfalls, and rugged rock terraces. Its terrain is highly varied, with a rain-soaked central plateau feeding dense networks of streams and waterfalls, while steep coastal cliffs mix with tropical forests and narrow bays. Due to its geological age and isolation, the island supports hundreds of endemic plant and bird species found nowhere else. An unusual phenomenon observed here is the appearance of cloud gaps, fixed corridors between mountain slopes that remain clear even when the surroundings are covered in fog or rain. What makes Kauai unique is its extreme basalt erosion, forming dense clusters of deep canyons within a compact area, rare among oceanic volcanic islands. Raja Ampat is a limestone and coral island group where the Indian and Pacific Oceans meet, creating constant natural whirlpools due to colliding currents. The islands are mostly steep limestone hills with no flat ground, surrounded by pristine coral reefs that support one of the highest marine biodiversity levels on Earth. Some islands lack freshwater sources, and vegetation grows directly on rock, relying on humidity and tropical rainfall. Underwater, caves, blue holes, and vertical reef walls contain rare corals, reef fish, and crustaceans. Locals live in small scattered communities and use boats for transport, with some zones entirely closed to fishing or extraction. Certain waters here have shown natural light variation linked to plankton density, creating unusual optical effects during moonless nights. The Azores sit in the middle of the North Atlantic and were formed by volcanic activity where three tectonic plates meet, resulting in islands with diverse geological structures. Many islands feature sunken volcanic craters, freshwater basins, and slopes shaped by long, cooled lava flows. Although people live there, some areas remain untouched because steep terrain and shifting weather make land use difficult. A puzzling event is the periodic shift in location of hot spring outlets, which reappear in new spots every few years without major structural changes underground. Azores lie between a cold oceanic zone and a subtropical climate, allowing deep-sea algae, bottom-dwelling animals, and high-altitude plants to coexist in narrow spaces.
Exceto por uma pequena estação de pesquisa, a ilha permanece sem construções permanentes ou qualquer tipo de desenvolvimento humano. Centenas de milhares de aves marinhas habitam a ilha, incluindo espécies endêmicas raras protegidas por acordos internacionais. Seu terreno é composto por montanhas íngremes, vegetação úmida e neblina densa que persiste durante a maior parte do ano, enquanto o mar ao redor permanece constantemente agitado. Alguns lugares permanecem desabitados não por falta de recursos, mas porque suas condições naturais são extremamente severas. Guff Island é um exemplo claro disso. Devido ao seu isolamento extremo e ao impacto humano praticamente inexistente, Guff Island é considerada um dos ecossistemas naturais mais intactos da Terra para estudos ambientais e biológicos.
Located deep in the southern Indian Ocean, the Kerguelen Islands have no permanent residents and no airport or commercial harbor. Access is limited to a few research vessels each year and depends entirely on sea conditions. The terrain consists of barren plateaus, cold seasonal lakes, and cliffs shaped by constant wind erosion. The ecosystem remains nearly untouched, with mosses, lichens, seabirds, and seals living without disturbance. Aside from a few temporary research structures, the area shows no signs of development or tourism. Its isolation, severe climate, and lack of human impact make it a valuable site for environmental and biological observation. Samoa is one of the first countries in the world to witness the sunrise each day due to its location near the international dateline. Samoa is striking for its natural sea geysers, which shoot high-pressure water through old lava tubes directly beside the coast, a rare volcanic island phenomenon. Although long inhabited by native populations, many parts of the islands still maintain untouched vegetation and show minimal urban development. Several sinkholes and coastal caves have unusual depths and unclear origins, sparking ongoing geological debates. Located near tectonic plate collision zones, Samoa experiences frequent minor tremors and unexplained tidal withdrawals before waters return to normal. Its marine ecosystem features a unique mix of deep-sea and tropical species, creating a biologically rich zone close to shore. The Galapagos Islands are located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, about several hundred miles from the mainland, and are known for their plants and animals that evolved separately for millions of years. The islands were formed by volcanic activity, creating landscapes of lava plains, black rock hills, and white sandy beaches. The marine ecosystem around the islands is very rich, with giant tortoises, hammerhead sharks, penguins, sea lions, and hundreds of tropical fish living in coral reefs and rocky areas. Due to dry weather and cold ocean currents, many species here have unique shapes and cannot be found anywhere else. Local people mostly live from small-scale fishing and ecotourism, and they have a strong awareness of protecting the environment. Visitors often go diving, hike across volcanic terrain, and observe wildlife in their natural habitat without fences or close-up guides. Tristan da Cunha is the only place in the world where a trip must be measured in weeks, not hours. Located deep in the South Atlantic, the island has no airport and sits over 1,500 miles from the nearest mainland, making access extremely difficult. Its surface is mostly volcanic slopes and cliffs, with just one small coastal settlement built on rare flat land. The ecosystem remains untouched, home to rare seabirds and plants found nowhere else. There are no paved roads, no tourist infrastructure, and virtually no human interference beyond the village. This extreme isolation makes Tristan da Cunha a valuable site for studying biological adaptation in stable, undisturbed environments. Some places remain uninhabited, not due to lack of resources, but because their conditions are simply too harsh. Gough Island is a clear example. Located deep in the South Atlantic, this island has no permanent residents and is only visited by scientific teams for short periods. Its terrain features steep mountains, wet vegetation, and dense fog that lingers most of the year, while the surrounding sea remains consistently rough. Hundreds of thousands of seabirds inhabit the island, including rare endemic species under strict international protection. Except for a small research station, the island remains untouched by any permanent structures or human development. Because of its extreme isolation and minimal human impact, Gough Island is considered one of the most pristine natural ecosystems left on Earth for environmental and biological studies. Macquarie Island lies between Tasmania and Antarctica, with no permanent residents and limited access by research vessels scheduled annually. Oceanic crust has risen above sea level here, forming terrain with black rocks, grassy wetlands, and uneven ground. There are no airports or roads, and all activities on the island follow strict conservation protocols. A temporary research station monitors environmental indicators while the rest of the island remains in its natural state. With isolated conditions, severe weather, and an untouched ecosystem, Macquarie Island supports long-term studies of southern marine and biological change. Robinson Crusoe Island lies hundreds of kilometers off the Chilean coast, with a landscape that has remained largely unchanged for centuries. Though home to a small community, the island has no international airport and is only reached by boat or occasional small aircraft. Its terrain includes high rocky mountains, deep valleys, and humid forests that host unique plant and animal species found nowhere else. The rugged shoreline is surrounded by clear waters, where reefs and marine life continue to thrive with limited human disturbance. Food, fuel, and supplies are entirely dependent on shipments from the mainland. Because of its isolation and strict development controls, Robinson Crusoe Island maintains a distinct ecosystem and serves as a long-term biological observation site for tropical volcanic islands. Juan Fernandez Islands are located far off the coast of Chile, with no consistent transport link to the mainland. Life on the islands moves at a slow pace, shaped by weather conditions and occasional boat arrivals. Although inhabited, much of the land remains intact due to rugged terrain and strict development controls. The biodiversity includes a high number of endemic species that evolved in long-term isolation within deep marine surroundings. Steep mountains, dense forest cover, and ocean-facing cliffs define the landscape and provide natural protection for local ecosystems. Geographic isolation not only slows urban growth, but also acts as a natural barrier, helping the environment remain balanced over time. Ascension Island has no permanent residents and no natural forest, yet a man-planted woodland exists in the middle of the ocean. Scientists were surprised to find an artificial ecosystem thriving on this dry volcanic island. Located in the Atlantic Ocean, the island has harsh weather, basalt terrain, and no steady freshwater source. In the 19th century, plants from many climates were introduced as part of a bold experiment, and some adapted to form new growth zones. Outside the planted area, the land remains untouched, with no civilian structures or tourism facilities. The coast is a seasonal nesting ground for sea turtles and migratory birds, continuing without disruption from modern development. Sable Island is a remote sandbar located in the North Atlantic Ocean, several hundred kilometers off the coast of Canada, with no permanent population. The island's shape changes over time due to strong winds and ocean waves, making older maps quickly outdated. Over the centuries, more than 350 shipwrecks have been recorded around the island, caused by complex currents and persistent fog. A population of wild horses lives on the island without human control and continues to survive under harsh natural conditions. Vegetation includes mainly low, salt-resistant plants adapted to sandy soils and high humidity. Sable Island is now strictly protected by Canada, and only limited research teams are allowed to access it under controlled conditions. Cocos Island, part of Costa Rica, is located in the Pacific Ocean, 500 kilometers from the mainland. The island contains a diverse marine ecosystem with the presence of hammerhead sharks, white sharks, and many other sea creatures. Most of the island is covered by tropical rainforest, where vegetation and wildlife grow in stable natural conditions. In 1997, UNESCO recognized this site as a World Natural Heritage Site. Tourists are allowed to visit during the day, but are not permitted to stay overnight to ensure environmental safety. Currently, only park rangers and researchers operate on the island. Cocos Island provides a direct experience with the ocean and marine life. Located off the coast of Chile in the Pacific Ocean, Easter Island is renowned for its giant moai statues that reflect an ancient cultural legacy. The island is the ancestral home of the Rapa Nui people, who maintain unique beliefs and traditional practices. Its landscape features grasslands, extinct volcanoes, and untouched shorelines, offering a quiet atmosphere rich in historical depth. Many archaeologists have visited the island to study the independent development of its civilization under isolated conditions. The Chilean government has established conservation areas to protect both the cultural heritage and natural environment. Easter Island invites reflection on humanity, time, and the traces left behind by earlier generations. Condao is a remote island group located in the South China Sea, about 140 miles from the mainland, and is known for its untouched nature and diverse marine ecosystem. The island's landscape includes granite mountains, coastal rainforests, and long white beaches with clear water all year round. The surrounding sea is home to sea turtles, dolphins, dugongs, and many reef fish, along with well-preserved coral reefs. It is one of the few places in Vietnam with a large sea turtle conservation program where visitors can watch turtles lay eggs during nesting season. Visitors often go trekking through rainforest, snorkeling at coral sites, or visiting strictly managed nature reserves. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are a remote archipelago in the Bay of Bengal, about 850 miles from the mainland, with over 500 islands in a curved chain. The landscape mainly consists of granite hills, dense tropical rainforests, and untouched beaches with white sand and clear water. The surrounding marine ecosystem is rich, including intact coral reefs, rays, sea turtles, reef sharks, tropical fish, and many rare marine species. Some local indigenous groups still live self-sufficiently, untouched by modern life, and are protected by cultural preservation laws with no outside contact. Because of its remote location and strict conservation rules, the islands have remained nearly completely natural and undisturbed. Guadalupe Island is a remote volcanic island in the Pacific Ocean, located about 149 miles off the coast of Mexico. It is one of the few places in the world where great white sharks regularly gather to hunt in the island's deep and clear waters. Thanks to its steep terrain and lack of permanent residents, the ecosystem remains largely untouched, supporting unique species like the Guadalupe petrel and local pine trees. The island was once damaged by feral goats, but recent conservation efforts have helped restore its native environment. Today, Guadalupe is a strict biological reserve of Mexico, allowing only approved research and diving activities. The Revillagigedo Islands were formed by volcanic eruptions from the Pacific tectonic plate, creating four main islands made of basalt rock with steep cliffs and eroded volcanic peaks. The island's terrain shows a sharp contrast between dry, rocky lowlands and humid mountain slopes covered by subtropical vegetation supported by marine clouds. Because the islands are over 370 miles from the mainland and have no residents, they remain nearly untouched, home to many seabirds and reptiles found nowhere else. Research vessels have reported humpback whales moving in coordinated circular patterns near the surface for long periods, but the purpose of this behavior is still unknown. The area is also the meeting point of three major ocean currents, forming a multi-layered marine ecosystem that is complex and still under study. The Los Roques archipelago was mainly formed by large coral atolls that developed over thousands of years on low offshore terrain in the southern Caribbean. The islands have a ring-shaped coral structure with sandbanks rising from shallow turquoise waters, and the landscape shifts noticeably between dry and wet seasons. Located about 81 miles from the mainland and without road access, the area remains highly untouched, especially on uninhabited islands where marine ecosystems grow undisturbed. Divers have reported early morning sightings of large groups of stingrays forming spiral clusters, with no confirmed explanation for the behavior. What makes Los Roques unusual is its vast interior lagoons formed inside coral rings, where multiple layers of water with different colors and salinity levels exist side by side in narrow spaces. The San Blas Islands consist of hundreds of small islands scattered across the Caribbean Sea, many of which have never been officially named. They are mainly formed by dead coral and naturally deposited sand with very low elevation, making them vulnerable to seasonal sea rise and storms. The coastal ecosystems support living coral, reef fish, and breeding seabirds, while the land vegetation is sparse, dominated by coconut palms and salt-tolerant plants. Some islands are inhabited by the Guna people, who govern the area through traditional law, banning over-exploitation and large-scale construction. Scientists have documented a seasonal shifting of sand caused by monsoon winds, which changes the shape of several islands each year without human intervention. Norfolk Island is not a coral atoll or a sandbar, but the remnant of an ancient volcanic peak, now covered with basalt-based grasslands and native forests that roll gently across the island. Tall Norfolk pines grow in striking vertical rows and are naturally found nowhere else on Earth, forming the visual spine of the island. Located nearly 560 miles from the mainland with no heavy industry, the island preserves a quiet, undisturbed environment shaped more by wind and sea than by humans. A curious feature near the shoreline is a recurring swirl of small whirlpools that stay fixed in location despite shifting currents, still unexplained by researchers. Unlike tropical islands, Norfolk's ecosystem behaves like a hybrid zone, where temperate and subtropical species coexist under strong winds and cool ocean waters year-round. The Cocos, Keeling Islands, are located in the Indian Ocean, about 1,700 miles from the western coast of Australia, and include 27 small islands surrounding a shallow lagoon. The islands have low, sandy surfaces, with coconut groves and no natural rivers or streams. Coral reefs near the islands support reef sharks, tropical fish, sea turtles, and various invertebrates. One inhabited island is home to a Malay Cocos community that speaks its own language and makes traditional items from fiber and palm leaves. All access and activities are regulated, and outside animals or materials are not allowed. The Falkland Islands are a remote archipelago in the South Atlantic Ocean, located hundreds of kilometers from the nearest mainland. The landscape consists mainly of open grass-covered hills, rocky shores, and low marshlands with no tall trees. Its cold and windy climate year-round makes it an ideal seasonal habitat for seabirds and seals. The islands have a sparse population focused on sheep farming and fishing, while most areas remain untouched. The ecosystem is notable for hosting penguins and migratory birds that nest seasonally. Historically, the islands were a point of conflict between nations, but are now administered as a British overseas territory. Vanuatu stands out as a nation where islands have formed and vanished due to submarine volcanic activity, creating an archipelago with constantly shifting shapes. Some islands have experienced rare events, such as temporarily hardened beaches, following minor eruptions, interrupting movement without a clear scientific explanation. Many areas still preserve their natural state with dense tropical forests, saltwater lagoons, and unexplored geothermal springs. The surrounding marine ecosystem remains largely untouched, featuring living coral reefs, diverse tropical fish, and water clear enough to reveal the seabed. Vanuatu lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone of frequent geological shifts that rarely cause major damage but reshape the terrain. Its active geology, untamed landscapes, and unexplained natural occurrences make it a prime site for geologists and environmental researchers. Solomon Islands stands out for hosting one of the few acidic crater lakes within an active volcano, where the water color shifts based on geothermal activity. The archipelago contains hundreds of islands, many of them uninhabited, and still covered with dense tropical rainforest from mountain peaks to the shoreline. Some coastal areas have reported faint nighttime light emissions near shallow seas, which remain scientifically unexplained. Its landscape includes coastal limestone ridges and old volcanic formations, forming a network of caves and nearshore coral reefs. Marine ecosystems around the uninhabited islands remain almost untouched, supporting reef sharks, rare mollusks, and living corals close to shore. The intersection of underground geological activity, isolated natural environments, and puzzling natural phenomena makes Solomon Islands a key destination for geographic and biological research in the South Pacific. Comoros is known as one of the rare places on Earth where the ancient coelacanth fish still lives, a species once thought extinct for millions of years. The archipelago consists of isolated volcanic islands in the Indian Ocean, featuring steep slopes, black basalt rock, and wave-eroded coastal platforms. Some shoreline zones release hot underground water from rock fissures, rich in minerals but largely unstudied. Although inhabited, most of the islands remain covered in humid primary forest and retain undisturbed native plant life. Marine biologists have documented migration patterns of sea creatures around Comoros that do not follow known routes, suggesting the presence of isolated microcurrents. The survival of ancient fish species, combined with undersea volcanic instability and an intact ecosystem, makes Comoros a significant site for evolutionary and oceanographic research. Seychelles is the only place on Earth where the coco de mer palm grows naturally, producing the world's largest seed and requiring the archipelago's unique, humid, and isolated climate. Its main and surrounding islands are made of ancient granite, distinctly different from the coral-based islands common in the Indian Ocean. Some deep interior valleys host plant species found nowhere else, including primitive ferns and palms unchanged for millions of years. Dense tropical forests border directly against granite seashores, forming a rare ecological transition zone between humid forest and shallow marine environments. A few of the smaller islands have recorded sudden, unexplained changes in sea color lasting several hours, unrelated to weather or tides. With isolated granite geology, unique plant life, and mysterious marine phenomena, Seychelles offers a prime location for research in evolutionary biology and ancient geomorphology. Palawan is renowned for its underground river system, stretching for kilometers through limestone mountains, one of the largest of its kind, recognized by UNESCO. The island chain runs northeast to southwest, featuring a complex mix of primary rainforest, jagged limestone ranges, and sheltered bays dotted with small islands. Certain coastal waters change color cyclically each month, despite lacking river inflows, suggesting the presence of unknown subterranean currents. Limestone caves have revealed prehistoric animal fossils and eyeless spider species that live entirely in darkness and remain taxonomically unclassified. The coral reef ecosystems around the less inhabited islands remain intact, hosting giant clams and ancient coral structures. With its karst topography, cave biota, and unexplained hydrological behavior, Palawan is an ideal site for evolutionary and coastal subterranean research. The Whitsundays are known for having some of the world's purest silica sand, where grains do not retain heat or moisture, allowing stable beach formation year-round. This archipelago includes 74 islands along the edge of the Great Barrier Reef, most of which are uninhabited and remain in a natural state. Shallow near-shore areas often produce sand spiral patterns during low tide, changing shape weekly and forming naturally occurring swirls. Coastal forests on some islands host plant species uniquely adapted to saline sandy soil and constant salt spray, with several not yet fully studied for survival mechanisms. The boundary between live coral reefs and bare sandy flats is clearly visible, providing researchers with access to transitional marine ecosystems. With exceptional sand composition, reef coral integrity, and cyclical natural formations, the Whitsundays offer a valuable site for studying coastal variation and biological adaptation. Big Island is the youngest island in the Hawaiian group, formed by the buildup of 5 large volcanoes that erupted over hundreds of thousands of years and created broad basalt terrain with layered slopes. The island contains both active lava flows and dry, cooled rock zones, mixed with rainforests, lava plains, and large collapsed craters. Although people live there and infrastructure exists, much of the southern and southeastern areas remain in natural condition because unstable ground and lava flows limit development. A strange occurrence is the presence of warm ground patches that emit thin smoke in irregular patterns, even though they are far from known volcanic centers and have no visible magma sources. Big Island contains a range of environments including dry desert, temperate forest, and fresh lava fields with no vegetation, all located next to one another. Fiji is a remote island country in the South Pacific Ocean, located thousands of miles from major continents, with over 300 islands spread across a vast sea area. Its landscape includes extinct volcanoes, tropical rainforests, green rolling hills, and long, white sand beaches with clear blue water. The surrounding marine ecosystem is rich, with the world's third largest coral reef, reef sharks, rays, sea turtles, and hundreds of tropical fish species living in warm, clean waters. Many local communities still follow traditional customs, speak native languages, live in tribal groups, and hold cultural festivals throughout the year. Visitors to Fiji often go snorkeling, sail in traditional boats, explore local villages, or relax in eco-resorts focused on sustainability and conservation. The combination of untouched scenery, unique cultural life, and diverse marine habitats makes this place a top destination in the Pacific region. Ischia is a volcanic island in western Italy, located about 20 miles from the mainland, and is known for its natural hot springs and varied terrain from beaches to mountains. The island's landscape includes hills formed from ancient lava, black sand beaches, and underground mineral springs with high geothermal activity. The surrounding sea has a rich ecosystem with Mediterranean fish, rocky reefs, seaweed, and some protected underwater areas. Local culture blends island traditions with strong Mediterranean influence, featuring folk festivals, native cuisine, and centuries-old crafts. Visitors can enjoy open-air hot spring baths, tour vineyards on mountain slopes, or take boat rides to explore coastal caves and thermal waters. Menorca has a clear land structure, from white sand beaches at the water's edge to underwater limestone zones covered in seagrass growing with the current. The sea is calm and clear, allowing people to see layers of marine life moving near the rocks without needing to dive deep. The coastal ecosystem stays balanced with little impact from mass tourism, supporting Mediterranean fish, mature sea turtles, and clusters of starfish that gather seasonally. On land, people live in small settlements, building homes with local materials and continuing crafts like pottery and hand weaving. Coastal paths are mostly left untouched, with no paving or signs, and walkers choose their own routes across pine groves or rocky shores, depending on the tide. Visitors take part in outdoor activities without fixed schedules, mostly swimming in sheltered coves, kayaking along the coast, or staying long-term in self-catering lodges. Elba is an island formed about 30 million years ago from the geological collision between the African and Eurasian plates, creating varied terrain with metamorphic mountains, deep valleys, and long coastlines. The island holds rich mineral reserves, especially iron, and was once a major mining center for ancient empires. Its natural scenery includes forests, rocky hills, and beaches with various colors from white sand to pebbles and dark grains caused by mineral content. Many parts of the island remain undeveloped due to limits on urban expansion and the designation of national park areas to protect native ecosystems. A unique historical fact is that Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled here in 1814 and left behind many sites and traces still visible today. The combination of geological resources, historical importance, and Mediterranean landscapes makes Elba stand out among Italy's well-known islands. Roatan lies in warm coastal waters with a coral-based foundation, most of the island covered by low forest and settlements stretched along narrow coastal strips. The sea around the island is clear, with stable salinity, allowing coral to grow in defined clusters, where tropical fish, sea turtles, and rays live year-round. Most people on the island work in marine trades, repair boats, teach diving, or join small seasonal teams that fish without industrial methods. Along dirt roads, residents sell fruit, dried fish, and handmade wooden items without labels or packaging. The sounds most heard are dive compressors, early morning net pulls, and short exchanges between neighbors sitting at doorsteps. Visitors to Roatan often spend more time below water than on land, or follow forest-edge trails that lead to places with no signs. Korčula is an island in Croatia's Adriatic Sea, surrounded by pine forests, vineyards, and ancient stone towns with strong medieval character. Its main town is fortified with towers and narrow alleys where locals still live peacefully among tightly packed, red-roofed houses. Legend says that explorer Marco Polo was born here, and every street corner seems to carry the memory of distant voyages. Korčula is also known for preserving folk traditions, like the Moresca sword dance, performed during summer festivals. The sea around the island is clear and full of marine life, perfect for swimming, kayaking, or relaxing on traditional wooden boats. Visiting Korčula means entering a space where history, culture, and nature are quietly interwoven along the Balkan coast. Korčula is a narrow coral island with low ground, white sand, and scattered shrubs between one-story wooden homes without roof tiles. There are no large vehicles. The sand-covered paths are used by people walking or riding bicycles, with most activity happening near the shore. The sea is clear and calm, with coral reefs close to land and warm currents where tropical fish, sea anemones, turtles, and rays move along the bottom. Residents make a living by fishing, running small services, and cooking outdoors, often with wooden tables set up right in front of their homes. The main sounds are paddles in the water, quiet voices from food stalls, and ceiling fans turning slowly inside houses without glass windows. Visitors to Korčula usually don't carry maps. They follow the sand paths and stop where there's coconut shade or someone lighting a fire. Bonaire is recognized as one of the world's most stable nearshore coral reef zones, thanks to strict conservation policies in place since the mid-20th century. The island has low volcanic origins, no rivers, and no surface fresh water, resulting in consistently clear seawater with minimal land-based influence. Just meters from the shore, fully formed ecosystems of live coral, tropical fish, and seasonal benthic species thrive in shallow waters. Some coastal areas feature fossilized salt flats, where natural sea salt accumulates through evaporation, forming white, hardened surfaces under dry climate conditions. On land, vegetation consists mainly of salt-tolerant shrubs and cacti adapted to semi-arid, saline soil environments. The combination of pristine marine waters, balanced coral structures, and geographic isolation makes Bonaire an ideal model for tropical marine ecosystem restoration research. The British Virgin Islands are known for their exposed granite formations along the coast, forming rounded boulders stacked like mazes, a rare landform in the Caribbean. The archipelago consists of over 50 islands, most uninhabited, with protected coves and calm, shallow waters throughout the year. Some coastal caves allow direct sunlight to reach the sea floor, supporting concentrated zones of algae, anemones, and small reef fish aligned with light levels. On land, vegetation adapts to a dry season climate with short rains, featuring salt-tolerant shrubs and sparse plants along rocky slopes. With its distinct exposed rockscape, stable shallow reef zones, and localized ocean anomalies, the British Virgin Islands provide a valuable site for studying coastal terrestrial ecosystem transitions in subtropical environments. Sardinia broke from mainland Europe hundreds of millions of years ago, and its granite and schist, over 500 million years old, have been shaped by wind and water into dry plateaus and a jagged coast that looks like natural sculptures. More than 4,000 round stone towers called nuragh, built about 3,500 years ago, still stand, and archaeologists debate whether they were forts or ritual sites. The island's interior holds mountain ridges, deep ravines, and oak forests without paved roads, sheltering European wildcats, Egyptian vultures, and hundreds of endemic plant species. Sardinia is a blue zone where the proportion of people living past 100 years is remarkably high, linked to a Mediterranean diet, stable climate, and tight community networks. Genetic studies show the island's inhabitants have a distinct DNA pattern compared with the rest of Europe, reflecting long isolation and shaping a culture with its own language. Iceland lies on the boundary between two tectonic plates, where magma rises and forms new land and volcanic ridges that keep changing shape. In the same landscape, visitors can see glaciers covering hundreds of square miles right next to geothermal zones with boiling mud and rising steam. About 80% of the land consists of mountains, lava plains, or ice, with most areas uninhabited and untouched by modern infrastructure. During winter, the sky often shows auroras, green lights that move unpredictably, once seen by ancient people as supernatural signs. Many people believe in the presence of hidden beings living in rocks, and some construction projects were delayed due to concerns about disturbing their homes. It is the only place on Earth where people can walk between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, and one of the few countries where medieval language is still readable after more than 800 years. Koh-Phi-Phi rose from marine limestone, and its vertical cliffs reach about 330 feet, carved by wind and waves into sharp, cast forms. These walls frame crescent-white beaches and turquoise water, where coral reefs are visible from the surface because water clarity exceeds 100 feet. Roughly 2/3 of the island is steep secondary forest without roads, and many coves are reachable only by small boats at low tide, preserving habitat for tropical fish, sea turtles, and mangrove birds. Some narrow crevices between cliffs open only for a few days each year, when sea level drops, and are soon hidden by waves, giving explorers a sense of secret gateways. All transport is by sea, with no airport or paved roads, and the surrounding coral reefs have recovered quickly after environmental stress, showing an uncommon capacity for regeneration. Boracay is known for its ultrafine white sand, with a uniform texture that doesn't retain heat or stick to the skin, a rare trait, even among tropical islands. Though small in area, the island features complex terrain, with low limestone mounds, lagoons, narrow beaches, and consistently clear shallow waters. Some nearshore zones have exhibited two-layer water events, where surface and subsurface layers show sharp temperature differences affecting plankton and small fish behavior. The surrounding coral reefs are undergoing natural recovery, with notable regrowth of soft corals and reef fish due to restricted harvesting and tourism controls. On land, vegetation is simple, mainly tropical shrubs and coconut palms, but varies clearly by soil moisture and distance from saline zones. With unique sand quality, stratified water behavior, and recovering ecosystems, Boracay serves as a model for studying ecological restoration and tourism regulation in tropical coastal zones. Cozumel is one of the few places in the world where nearshore coral reefs connect directly with submerged cave systems, creating a two-layered marine environment with distinct light and flow patterns. Located off the eastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, the island has a limestone base with minimal surface soil, giving rise to hundreds of cenotes, freshwater sinkholes linked to the sea. Some cenotes exhibit seasonal shifts in salinity and underground gas pressure, producing blurred water layers between clearer water strata in the same space. Palancar Reef and other coral clusters along the island's west have steep wall formations, clearly marking the transition between live coral and bare substrate within shallow depths. The surrounding marine ecosystem shows high biodiversity, featuring reef fish, sea turtles, sponges, and bioluminescent plankton. With its submerged limestone terrain, stratified hydrology, and stable nearshore coral systems, Cozumel is an ideal site for research in marine biology and tropical coastal geology. Dominican Republic sits on an island formed by the collision of two major tectonic plates, creating complex geology with high mountains, deep valleys, and limestone zones eroded into underground caves stretching for dozens of miles. Inside these caves are stalactites, freshwater pools, and carved symbols from the ancient Taino people, showing that they used the space for underground rituals. Some cave lakes change color with the seasons or flashlight during storms, with no confirmed scientific explanation. About half of the inland area is untouched forest without paved roads, accessible only by trails, home to unique species like cave bats, land crabs, and legless frogs. The northern and southern coasts have coral reefs that differ in water color, depth, and current speed, supporting diverse marine life. Several deep caves are said by locals to make sounds at night, linked to folk beliefs about spirit gateways in their ancestral culture. The U.S. Virgin Islands are located in the Caribbean Sea, formed by low hills and rocky ridges rising from the ocean. The landscape includes rugged shorelines, sparse coastal forests, and sandy beaches without modern infrastructure. The surrounding sea has a rich ecosystem with coral reefs, seagrass beds, deep waters, and sandy seabeds, home to hundreds of fish species, squid, green turtles, and rare corals. In some areas, the seawater changes color seasonally due to natural flow and sediment movement. All activities are designed to protect the environment, with no mass tourism or harmful equipment used. Bermuda is the only Atlantic island formed entirely from an ancient submarine volcano, yet its current landmass is mainly limestone, built by coral, creating a coral island with a volcanic core. The island's terrain includes fossilized dunes, low limestone hills, and an extensive network of underground caves, many holding stable saltwater pools still largely unexplored. Some of these submerged caves exhibit floating water phenomena where salt and freshwater layers remain unmixed, forming a transparent boundary. The surrounding sea has exceptional clarity due to the lack of rivers and minimal sediment input, supporting stable populations of coral, reef fish, and plankton. On land, native vegetation survives on thin soil and high salinity, growing mainly on rocky slopes and limestone terraces exposed to seasonal winds. With its hybrid geology, stratified water caves, and pristine marine environment, Bermuda serves as a prime site for studying coral island formation atop mid-ocean volcanic bases. Barbados is the only island in the Caribbean formed by tectonic uplift of marine limestone rather than volcanic activity, resulting in a raised coral landform separate from the main reef system. Its terrain includes ancient limestone terraces, rounded hills, and shallow basins that collect seasonal water, supporting vegetation adapted to porous, calcium-rich rock. Some coastal areas feature underground channels that drain rainwater directly into the sea, creating localized salinity changes and unique microhabitats near cave outlets. With its rare uplift origin, near-shore subterranean drainage, and light-rich marine zones, Barbados is a key site for studying non-volcanic coral island formation and limestone-based biological adaptation. St. Bart's is known for its low volcanic hills bordered by broken coral fringes, forming narrow beaches and shallow waters without continuous reef barriers, where wave behavior shifts with wind direction. The island's bedrock consists of ancient volcanic layers mixed with marine sediments, eroded into uneven terraces, with remnants of old mineral springs no longer active. Some small bays have recorded light reverse currents flowing offshore during rapid tidal rise, influencing plankton density near the surface. The nearby marine ecosystem features clear separation between fine sand zones near shore and scattered soft coral patches hosting reef fish and slow-moving bottom species. With low volcanic terrain, discontinuous reef edges, unique shoreline hydrodynamics, and substrate-based ecological zoning, St. Bart's is well suited for studying micro-scale marine island interactions in the Caribbean.